Hello everyone, I am FTA and welcome back to another episode of Skype Sanctuary, one of the many dead programs we have on FTCR. I am joined today by Mr. Games Enlisted, Aaron Wester, I forget what his online handle is and I don't care, and the man of the hour, T-Bay. We're here to do a kind of review of the recently released Marvel Studios / Sony production of Spider-Man Homecoming. I think most people who follow us will know what a big Spider-Man fan TJ is, so I want to just, I'm going to really just pass the mic to him. TJ is going to just explain what he thought about the movie, and then the rest of us will just tell him why he's either wrong or an idiot. And just to get this out there, this is going to be a complete spoiler kind of episode, so if you have not seen it but you have intentions to, go and see it first and come back and laugh at TJ. TJ, take it away.
Okay, so the more I've thought about this movie,
Wrong.
the more I think this movie is hot garbage.
Nope.
Yes, it really is.
I'm
And
sorry, TJ. I just want to say, just to add some context, and not to just kick TJ when he's down, but I think it might be nice to explain that TJ's favorite Spider-Man movie is the Amazing Spider-Man 2, purely because of that the Spider-Man in it, not necessarily the movie around him, which I am kind of in agreement with. In the Amazing Spider-Man 2, that is a really damn good Spider-Man portrayal. The movie is complete shit though, but and TJ also isn't too fond of the Raimi trilogy. But if I remember correctly, you did like Spider-Man in Civil War.
yeah, I thought Spider-Man Civil War was okay.
Okay, so yes, just to give a bit of context that most of TJ's views about the Spider-Man movies are terrible. Please continue.
Nice. So I think everybody's main concern with the movie prior to actually seeing it was Tony Stark's involvement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, he may not have had a lot of screen time, but I really resented the fact that almost Peter's all of his motivation in that movie was, I gotta impress Papa Tony.
TJ, as a rebuttal, I believe that is something Marvel Studios did on purpose. For the fact that I think Tom Holland came out in some interviews and said, unlike previous Spider-Man movies who don't necessarily have a goal rather than just protect the innocent, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man's goal is to be an Avenger, and so it kind of gives him a motivation and a plot thread that previous Spider-Man haven't had. And I know you can perfectly say that you didn't like it and you thought it was terrible, but I kind of, part of me likes the fact that they did give him something else rather than just, I'm going to be Spider-Man, because we've seen that in 5 movies now, and yes, it is an integral part of his character, but after 5 movies, you kind of want to kind of see something new with your hero.
Yeah, and it makes sense for the character. Or for the universe he's in.
I've never liked Spider-Man in the Avengers. I think it's cool, like, when the Avengers show up, but, like, having Spider-Man be with the Avengers, it's just, everything in that universe centers around the Avengers, and I get it, like, that's the universe that they've built, but yeah, at the same time, you want something different for Spider-Man, but I also want something different for the MCU.
I mean, when you remember that the first issue of Amazing Spider-Man was him trying to join the Fantastic Four, I mean, it's not completely a stretch.
Yeah, he tries
get it? Stretch, Mr. Fantastic stretches. I hate you, Stefan.
That was unintentional.
I don't know. Like, I just like Spider-Man to be more independent, and the fact that the entire movie was just him like, I gotta do this so Tony will like me. I'm just like, stop. I don't want Tony to like you.
Well, I think the whole goal of the movie is to show that, yeah, Spider-Man doesn't need anyone. He can be independent. Like, that's the goal that the movie's going for. Peter wants to be part of the Avengers. He wants Tony Stark's approval. He wants to be able to do all these grand things. And in the end, the movie's showing that, well, I mean, he doesn't have to. He can stay small and
Yeah.
do what he thinks is right.
Yeah, the movie ultimately, TJ, the movie ultimately ends how you want him to. He turns that down.
That's true. But
Basically, the movie's Amy's story in Sonic Adventure 1.
Oh, jeez, shut up, Aaron.
Is Zero the Vulture?
Sure.
in the same fashion that people get tired of seeing origin stories over and over again when they already know what the origin of the character is, I already know that Spider-Man works better independently, so essentially this was just a waste of a movie.
How dare you? How dare you shit on the legacy of Spider-Man and his amazing friends?
I mean, they were pretty amazing friends.
I love Firestar.
I like Iceman.
I know you do, TJ. I will say though, I think one of the more common complaints of the MCU is it typically has pretty weak villains, but I think universally, Michael Keaton's performance and the script writing for his role as the Vulture has been pretty universally praised. I actually thought he was he is easily one of the best villains in the MCU has had.
So two things I liked about this movie were Michael Keaton's Vulture and that 5-minute sequence where he's actually on patrol.
But he accomplishes nothing in that 5 minutes of patrol.
I don't care.
Do a
It was-
flip.
He causes more. He causes more
He,
damage.
he accomplished capturing my heart.
The lady bought him a churro.
Yeah.
And Tony Stark remembered.
It's just, oh my god, there's just so much about this movie that I just did not like. That just choices that they made that I wish they hadn't.
Okay, so like what then? So TJ, list off then your top 5 things you most ignoring Peter Parker having a boner for Iron Man. Like what are the top 5 things then that you felt they got the most wrong in Homecoming?
Okay. One, I think, and this is in no particular order. One, I think that the supporting cast for a Spider-Man movie is extraordinarily weak.
What?
Yeah, weaker than the other ones.
Ned, I liked him, but I thought Ned got a bit grating after a while. I would have.
You mean Genki?
Yeah, Genki.
Gank, I thought his name was Ned.
His name is Ned, but it's essentially Genki.
Yeah, but isn't it?
From
Yeah,
Ultimate Spider-Man.
which is a quick tangent, JD, before you get to your point. I know that there's been a few things here, and there was a slight reference to Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man,
Yes.
in this movie, and I know before it was announced, I went back like 2 years ago or so, when it was announced that Marvel and Sony had struck a deal for a new Spider-Man to be in the MCU. There's a lot of talk about people wanting Miles Morales, and Miles Morales is a damn great character. I would have been fine if he was chosen, but Peter Parker was chosen, which I think we all knew was going to happen anyway. But it's just like what is the point of referencing a Miles Morales? And I think Kevin Feige has said, maybe he'll turn up at some point when you kind of taken so many aspects of his life and just given it to Peter Parker.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing where I'm just like, I no, don't do that, because then when you get to Miles Morales, you've like one of the cornerstones of the Miles Morales book is that friendship, and if you've taken that and given it to Peter, then that's a big chunk of because that was a big difference in the beginning between Miles and Peter. Peter never had anyone who knew he was Spider-Man. Miles, relatively early on, had that character.
Oh shit! I think I realized what they're doing here.
They'll
They're going
just
to
give Harry Osborn to Miles.
they're going to shoot his uncle, and that's how Miles becomes Spider-Man.
Not Donald Glover.
But he's a villain. He's the Prowler.
And that's how he gets shot.
He's prowling and gets shot.
Donald Glover's great in his 5 minutes.
I wouldn't say he's great.
Oh, you wouldn't.
Well, I mean, like he's great for the fight, like for this short time. It's like because he's doing his Donald Glover self, and Donald Glover's always like great.
I honestly feel like I know of Donald Glover. I don't think I've seen too much with him. And Stefan, if you say this is his acting style, then that's fine. Maybe it works better in other projects. Like he just seemed bored.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He does not like. Did you watch? Oh God, Atlanta.
Community. Oh yeah, I've seen some of Atlanta. I haven't seen it, but he's great in Atlanta.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's more of his. That and Community are more of his acting style. He did just look bored in this movie.
Which is weird because wasn't he pushing to be Miles Morales for like a long time? So you
He
think
was,
you know.
yeah.
Well, he was pushing to be Peter Parker back when they were doing Amazing Spider-Man, and then because of that whole fan thing, that's when Bendis created Miles Morales, and then he ended up voicing Miles Morales in the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon.
Isn't he also voicing him in the? Because I'm sure.
No, he's not voicing him in the animated Spider-Man
Because
movie.
I believe the animated movie coming out next year is going to be about Miles Morales, so maybe that's Marvel's way of saying he's not in the MCU, but here's his own movie.
Yeah, but that's like a whole like different basically reboot. Like that's in a whole universe. He's played by the kid from Dope, and they have another guy playing Aaron Davis.
They should tie that universe in with the Venom movie. That way you could have Spider-Man in it.
You'll have an R-rated Venom, and then you'll have a singing Spider-Man. Perfect.
Okay, so back to it. So yeah, Ned I didn't think was that great. Aunt May surprisingly did not shine as well as either Aunt May before her.
She didn't really have anything to do. Yeah, she didn't really have that much to do in the film.
Her only thing in the movie was just people telling her she's hot.
Yep.
Which
that's the only shtick for the character, and that's the only thing they do with her.
It was kind of funny when Tony Stark did it the first time, just because it's kind of referencing off what he'd said, certain comments he'd made in Civil War. But then when you get to when they go out to that Indian restaurant and she's getting free desserts, just okay, let's do so. Apparently there was a deleted scene where Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, I forget the context, but she rescues this little girl from something, and Peter as Spider-Man witnesses this. And then when he comes home, she's there, and he tries to ask her what happened in her day, and she's just nothing happened. So it's kind of like this. You kind of get a sense of this is where kind of Peter's sense of justice comes from in a certain way. I would have much preferred that scene versus two scenes of people just saying, "Oh yeah, she's so hot."
I will say I liked when she was helping Peter prepare for the date and stuff.
Yes, I love that. That scene was great. Although one thing, and this is something that I disliked in Amazing Spider-Man and in Civil War. She's your goddamn aunt, Peter. Don't just call her May. She's Aunt fucking May to you piece of shit.
Oh my god, thank you.
You're 15 years old. When you get to your 30s, maybe you can drop the aunt. But not fucking now, you piece of shit.
No, he can never drop it. He's not allowed. He's gonna be grounded.
Well, I mean, in Amazing Spider-Man, it's because he's the edgy teen, so he doesn't use the words like aunt. But in this one, it's he would probably use it. He would probably call her aunt.
I thought Liz Allen was also surprisingly weak for because I mean that's another cornerstone of a Spider-Man universe is a love interest, and I get that she's not supposed to be the love interest of this version of Spider-Man, but why have her in the movie as the supposed love interest if you're not going to do anything with her?
What do you mean?
Because you get that amazing plot twist.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I guess. I will agree that was a great plot twist, but there was really no chemistry there at all.
No, I don't. Because I think honestly, I think the filmmakers were I think they just threw it in there just because for one, it's a Marvel movie, and these movies have to have a forced romance, and two, because as you said, the relationship is such a big part of Peter Parker's life that I'm sure that's why they just threw it in there, and I'm sure that they're just let's just use Liz Allen because she's she was a relatively early character in the Spider-Man lore and never really became that serious. We can just use her in the first movie and save somebody else like maybe MJ for a later movie.
To be fair, I think it worked in this because they're playing it more off as young teenage.
Yeah.
It's more young teenage love, nothing too serious. Instead of
there would still be chemistry. If it was supposed to be awkward.
Well, it's awkward because he's also trying to hide the fact that he's Spider-Man, and especially after he realizes that her dad is the Vulture.
Oh my god, he realizes that her dad's the Vulture in the last half hour of the movie. There's not much hiding from that.
Honestly, I think it says a lot more that despite how many times Peter ends up like ditching on her or like screwing things up, she's still like around, and she's still like around for him and like willing to give him like more chances. So I think that says that says a lot about like
I'm not really sure that like that happens more than once.
Well, no, it happens twice. It happens once in the party when he leaves after like 2
Okay,
minutes.
but she doesn't make
and
it. They make no reference to that until later on in the movie.
But to be fair though, that party, the whole point was Peter was supposed to bring Spider-Man there. It didn't happen, and then there was the bit where they're in Washington, and they're supposed to go swimming, and he doesn't turn up. And then at the like smart person Olympic thing, he doesn't turn up for that either.
and then at the
Well,
homecoming
at least
he just
to be fair,
ditches her.
homecoming, at least he did turn up. he was there for 5 seconds before he left. But like the other times, he just flat out just wasn't there.
Well, we started the party for 2 seconds.
That isn't much better at a
No,
homecoming
but at least he
dance.
picked her up. He gave her a that fake flower thing, corsage. That's not. I don't know what the fuck that is. It's in like every American prom movie. What the fuck is that thing?
I got pizza on my prom night.
Yeah, but Aaron, on your prom night, didn't you just stay home and masturbate?
I'm not hearing a no.
But yes, okay. So TJ, so we have Aunt May, crappy love interest. What else are your problems with it? Supporting cast.
Flash Thompson. I didn't like Flash Thompson in this at all.
You racist.
Yeah, that's it. You caught me.
What about him? Was it because he wasn't just a big jock?
I don't know, cause like Flash is supposed to be. Too many people liked Peter in this movie. That's the problem. Like,
Well, to be fair, in the Amazing movies, we only ever really see Flash be a dick to Peter.
yeah.
Like everyone else, no one else seemed to have a problem with him. Just Flash.
Please call him by his real name, Penis Parker.
Flash. Okay, so Flash is like captain of the basketball team. Flash has friends, but like, you never have those contrasting moments because like you're supposed to have those moments where like, you know, Flash is the cool guy. Flash is like, you know, the most popular guy, and then Peter like one-ups him, and that's what causes all that tension between Flash and Peter. But there's really none of that in this movie because every time that Peter ones up him, he's already getting shit on by other characters.
I think it says a lot because they're going for not only a more modern like high school, but also like this is like a smart school. So so not only would there not be those kind of jocks, but like there would be like that one kid who's just kind of an asshole who thinks he's better than like this one who will go to like there are those people I know them that will just go to their efforts to just go and be a dick to like just one person and will act like everyone loves them when in actuality no one actually likes them.
Stefan, why the fuck are you talking about me? I'm here, you piece of shit. I will say it is an odd choice to go for the kind of intellectual bully when at every possible stage Peter is shown to be better than Flash.
Yep.
So I mean like in some regards, like Stefan says, I get why they didn't go for the big, you know, muscle-bound bully, but at least in that regard, it's cliche and outdated, but you get an understanding of why Flash would pick on Peter in that regard. Again, like as with TJ, I don't understand in this context what Flash has against Peter, rather than just maybe he's just jealous that Peter's smarter. But then why would you constantly try and outprove Peter when Peter just, you know, makes you look like an idiot in every chance he gets?
And the thing is that that's just how high school is, and maybe it's because that I'm like fairly fresh out of high school.
Are you calling us old? You son of a bitch.
Yes.
25 cents in a swear jar, Aaron. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, it's like sometimes people are just dicks just to be dicks, and there is no rhyme or reason. They just feel like if they can, they will do it.
I'm not saying
so
that I didn't understand his motivation. I'm just saying that the character doesn't work in that context. The character has to have some redeeming qualities for then to have those moments where Peter shows him up to be that much more impactful.
Which again, I will say one thing: the Amazing Spider-Man 1 did great was kind of Flash's arc, because you see in the beginning he kind of beats up Peter. Then there's a scene where Peter gets his spider powers and shows him up with the basketball. But then there's a moment after Uncle Ben dies where you see Flash really try and reach out to Peter. So like you do get this kind of sense that Flash does have some resemblance of a heart. There's nothing like that. In fact, that they outwardly make Flash cowardly in Homecoming. There's a moment where they're trapped in an elevator, and like some of the students are trying to get out, and Flash is purposely trying to save their kind of like trophy.
Hmm.
And it's like I mean, it's a funny gag, and I mean I laughed at it. But when you think about it, it's just like even bully Flash Thompson wouldn't have been that cowardly to try and save a trophy over one of his classmates.
Absolutely.
Well, he did have a redeeming quality, though. He gave Spider-Man his dad's car.
No, Spider-Man took that car. If you remember correctly, Aaron.
Yeah. That's the other thing. Like,
Well, he asked and he gave it.
That was a total missed opportunity to have like a classic.
The
like,
Flash loves Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Because Flash is Spider-Man's biggest fan.
When he jumped on that car, I was like, Flash is gonna give him the car because he's like, yes, Spider-Man, you can have my dad's car.
Yeah.
But no, he took it by force, and that was a total missed opportunity.
Which is the two, because Flash Thompson is really not that kind of deep of a character. Kind of, at least in the beginning, he had two character traits. He was a bully to Peter Parker, and he loved Spider-Man. And again, as Steve said, Homecoming had a few opportunities because Flash and Spider-Man meet a few times, and they never go for that Flash loves Spider-Man angle once.
Nope.
Which again, the Sam Raimi trilogy, we never saw Flash after high school, and Flash never had an interaction with Spider-Man, so what have you. I think in the Amazing Spider-Man they subtly do it where Flash kind of has some Spider-Man t-shirt. I think Flash has a
At the very end, he's like wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt.
which again, it's so in that regard, the Amazing, and again, Flash Thompson is a relatively small character in the kind of lore of Spider-Man, but the Amazing series got him the best. Although whether anyone cares about that is another thing, but
I just want my Agent Venom movie.
That's not gonna happen.
shut up, Stephen.
It's not gonna happen, but Flash Thompson as Venom is like the most interesting he's ever been. And the most interesting Venom's ever.
What about Mac Gargan? Yeah, we need Scorpion as Venom again.
Scorpion's in this movie.
That's the other thing that I really hated. How it was like, hey, that's the Scorpion because he's got a Scorpion tattoo on his neck. Do you see
That was so dumb.
Hey, Gareth, did you see the Scorpion tattoo? It was right there. It's a reference. Get it?
It's
a reference.
You know what's funny though, when that scene happened, because I saw it with a friend, and I forget the exact context, but before you see his face, they called him by his name, Mac Gargan. So I kind of let out a little noise, and my friend was like, "What does that mean?" I was like, "Oh, he means he's the Scorpion." But as I'm saying that, the character turns around, there's a giant fucking scorpion tattoo on his neck. Like, that's the most unsubtle thing. I mean, that's like if in Spider-Man 2, Otto Octavius had a pet octopus. It's like the stupidest thing ever. Like, why would you? It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
Okay, I want a movie where Doc Ock has a pet octopus that's a doctor.
Doctopus.
Doctor.
Yes.
Nobody
Suspects a thing. Aren't there some versions of the Scorpion that he does? At least the Ultimate Scorpion has a scorpion tattoo.
I get it, but it's not subtle.
It's. I mean, something like that can work better in a comic book. I feel, because generally, especially with something as big as Spider-Man, you know that if they're kind of laying a character like that, there's a good chance there'll be some kind of payoff. Shoehorning him into a movie like this just reeks of, we're building a world, which if you remember,
we're
back
doing
to
a
Amazing
sequel.
We're doing if you remember back to Amazing Spider-Man 2, they tried that shit where they basically laid out the entire Sinister Six, and that went fucking nowhere. That is why I mean, and yes, it is a very small point, but as TJ said, the kind of giant scorpion tattoo is just really fucking dumb and obvious. It just, to me, it just kind of reeks of bad production design.
I just yeah, be like you said, it is such a small thing. Yeah, and I mean like he's even like he's the fifth like of all the villains in the movie. He's like number 5 or number 6 technically.
Which also, so yeah, weird thing, TJ. I'm not sure if this is on your list, but why the fuck did we need 2 shockers for?
So I didn't catch this, but apparently the other guy was Montana.
What?
Yeah, the one who died was Montana.
So people are suspecting that is a intentional reference to
Spectacular Spider-Man?
yeah, where it was like there was the reverse.
Because what's the shocker's real name? Like
Herman Schultz.
Herman Schultz. And so was the character who was given the shocker gear? Is he?
Yeah,
is that,
he
that
was
character?
he was
Okay.
Herman Schultz.
Okay.
He was Herman something.
Because like the shocker had no personality. At least the first guy, Montana, had some. He was like kind of like crazy and unhinged. The second guy was just bland as shit. He had no personality.
That's another thing that irritated me is that like you have this he like so full thing. We're going into spoilers like if we haven't already. But I get that scene where he kills Montana is supposed to be like, you know,
He didn't mean to.
where he's well, number one, he doesn't mean to, so you can't use that as an excuse where it's like, oh, that's when the Vulture like goes over the edge, because he did.
But he also shoves it off, so that's the kind of thing. It's like both used as a joke. Is like, oh, I didn't mean to, but he also shrugs it off, like, oh well. So it's kind of like they're like trying to have it both ways.
I thought it was the anti-gravity gun.
So you just have a different character take the same place that guy already had, when you could have used both characters as like very like low key like D-list Spider-Man villains. Like he could have been the Beetle. With the terrible with having the guy supposed to be the terrible Tinkerer, the Vulture, the Shocker, like you could have had another D-list villain be on the table and not just like kill that guy off.
Well, it also makes no sense because you could remove the scene where he kills the guy, keep the first guy in the shocker gear, and nothing changes in the movie.
Absolutely.
Like nothing is gained aside from the fact that. Again, we see Adrian Toomes kind of kill someone by accident. Nothing is really gained by the use of 2 shockers. You know, it's just kind of like. Also, if there's a sequel, we better get a scene like in the old '90s cartoon show where Spider-Man he's got the symbiote suit on. He's filled with rage. And he's chasing after the shocker, just screaming after him, "Shocker! You can't escape me!" That is still the greatest Spider-Man scene in history.
I do love that.
I hope Jamie Foxx signs on for the sequel.
Shut the fuck up, Aaron. Okay, so TJ, what is your last issue with the movie?
Okay. Biggest issue is the ending. I hate the ending.
The ending.
So much.
I knew you were. Again, we're already in spoilers, but if you've seen the trailers, you should be able to make out that at some point in the movie, Tony Stark takes away the high-tech Spider-Man outfit.
That's another thing that I don't like, that he's like Iron Man light.
Same here. I hated that. I was like, I don't like this one little bit. It's dumb. It's on Spider-Man, and I'm sure Stefan is about to pull out some reference to a comic book that did it once 12 years ago but it's completely on Spider-Man for him to have this high-tech suit with a fucking Jarvis in there. I mean, like, I get, on some respect, I get why, because, you know, Spider-Man in the books, you know, he's normally always thinking to himself, but he can't really, that doesn't work in modern comic movies. So I'm sure the reason why they gave him this robot voice was to have someone to bounce ideas off of, and it had a few cute little moments of comedy, like when he's about to speak to Liz Allen and the robot voice is like, "Kiss her, Peter, kiss her." Like, you know, there's a few nice little moments, but ultimately I would have much preferred if that was just completely removed. But anyway, yeah, Tony Stark takes away the suit, so he has to take down the Vulture in his crappy homemade outfit, which we saw slightly in Civil War. And then at the end of the movie, when Tony Stark offers him a chance to join the Avengers with some kind of like newfangled Iron Spider armor, which I believe is from the books as well.
That's from Civil War.
But Peter turns that down, goes back home, and he finds his Civil War outfit. He's kind of his main new outfit. And he's putting it back on, and it ends with him in his bedroom. He's just taking off his mask, and the camera slightly pans around, and you see Aunt May, and she just screams, "What the f?" and it cuts the credits.
See, I love that part though, where she screams, "What the what the in the credits."
I mean, it's the thing. The thing is, the ending. It's very similar to how they ended Iron Man 1.
I am Iron Man.
which just further proves the point of Iron Man Light. They've essentially some of the last few Marvel movies have been Iron Man Light.
Because Doctor Strange was just Iron Man with magic.
Yep. And this is just young Iron Man.
I know people that would friends that have kids that if they discover that their kid was Spider-Man, that's exactly how they would react. And I thought that was hilarious.
I don't care. It's not the fact that how she reacted. I don't care about that. I care that we essentially have wasted this universe's opportunity to have those awkward moments or additional awkward moments where Peter's like, they're like, "Where did you go?" And he's just like, I don't.
That only goes so far, though. There's only so many
They
times
also
you can do
did
that.
it for years.
Well, Aaron, yes, but to be fair, they didn't really do that at all with May in this movie.
Yep.
I think that there's one scene where he comes home late, and she's like, "Where were you?" And he's like, "I was detained." And it's like they don't really make a thing out of it. I mean, that's something where the Raimi movies, I think specifically Spider-Man 1, I think did a pretty decent job of Peter being late to things and having to come up with excuses and shit like that.
Absolutely.
But it's just, I mean, it's kind of weird though, because the fact that he in both movies, Homecoming and Civil War, he makes a point to say we can't tell Aunt May because she won't let she won't let me go if she knows what I'm doing. It's just kind of weird that we're led to believe that that Aunt May won't let him go out and just fight crime in New York when Spider-Man's next appearance she's going to be fighting for the fucking Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos. I don't really see how Aunt May's going to let him go do that. That doesn't really make any sense to me.
There's so many things in this movie that they're just like. So, the reason I hate it so much is because there are certain things that are important to me in regards to Spider-Man, and this movie just kind
Wind turbines.
This movie just kind of writes it off as not being important.
That seems to be what I noticed is like the most critical people about this movie. Like the most critical that people are about this movie is that they change a lot of things. Like they really change a lot of things about Spider-Man. It's like it's not like this version. It's not like the Sam Raimi version. It's not like this version. But most of the people that like it are like, I like all the different changes.
Which again, to be fair, after 5 movies, you have to change it. Like I mean, if this movie would have just been, if this Spider-Man had just acted just like either Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, it'd be kind of like, what was the point? So on one hand, I completely understand why Marvel/Sony have decided to make all these changes. But again, I'm kind of in the middle because I completely understand where Stefan isn't bothered by him, but then, as TJ said, they're changing so much about like the core identity of Spider-Man. It's also just like why would you waste the Aunt May reveal in movie 1? Like that's something where it's because he's only been Spider-Man for a little while. You think you'd want to save that for a bit longer.
That is literally my favorite issue of Spider-Man throughout the years.
When she comes home, and Peter Parker's just like beaten to death in bed.
Yep. And she's holding his like tattered costume in her hands.
It's great because I love it in like the first issue. First she's angry, she's just like angry at Peter, but then I forget the reason. She has a change of heart, and then she just starts like messaging the Daily Bugle to have them to stop writing such mean things about Spider-Man. It's
there's
great.
An issue where they literally the whole entire issue is them just talking it out. And that's when she has the change of heart. So the issue after that is when she's like writing the Daily Bugle, and she's like, "I don't care for your coverage, your biased coverage of Spider-Man."
And that is exactly what any like loving parent would do. I love that. That's such a great moment.
Yep.
That was J. Michael Straczynski, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think I have that issue traded, but it doesn't matter because this Aunt May's got boobs.
I
You don't
think
need that. It's fine.
I think I gave you that issue.
I think you did. Yeah, I remember reading that. I remember just loving that. That's a good idea. Such a good idea.
I think that perfectly encapsulates what this new Spider-Man is. Is that at the end of the first movie, this big reveal that it was in the comics is a last minute throwaway gag. Like I think that kind of perfectly encapsulates what this kind of new Spider-Man is.
Is total garbage.
That's in your opinion.
I just wanted J. Jonah Jameson.
They won't. They're not. There's not going to be.
You know what sucks though? So a while ago in the Sony leaks, it was leaked that they were working on a new movie with Marvel, which was going to feature the Vulture and the Scorpion, which both appeared. And apparently, J. Jonah Jameson was going to be in the movie, played by Hugh Laurie. And I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yep.
House as Jameson. Like, if there was nothing... J.K. Simmons was perfect. I actually have issues with the way he was written in 2 and 3, because kind of like Flash Thompson, they kind of completely ignore the kind of jerk with a heart of gold aspect Jameson has in 2 and 3. But like J.K. Simmons played that role to perfection. The only other person I think who could come close is Hugh Laurie, because I think in terms of the look, the way he acts, that he would be a fucking amazing Jameson.
I will throw a third name out there. TJ's going to honestly, you all three may totally hate me for this.
We already do,
but I'm gonna. Oh, okay. Well, specifically for this reason, you're gonna hate me more. But I'm going to say Ice Cube. He could do a good J. Jonah Jameson.
Hang up the call. Hang up the call.
You only say that because of 21 Jump Street.
Well, no,
well, see, the thing is, I like if you were gonna go. If you were gonna go with a completely comedic, over the top, angry all the time, Ice Cube probably could pull it he basically plays that role in the 21 Jump Street movies, and he's fucking hilarious in it. In that regard, I could see that. But I honestly haven't seen enough of Ice Cube's acting to know if he could put off the kind of jerk with a heart of gold, because he's just a jerk in the 21 Jump Street movies. But for pure comedic value, I could actually see that.
Okay, so I have these 2 points are kind of one and the same, but they weren't so much a part of the movie, that it's the movie combined with things that I've read in like interviews after the fact. So number one, Gareth and I already talked about this. So at the very tail end of the movie, they reveal that this other classmate they have, this other female classmate that's not Liz Allen,
who's just been kind of shitting on Peter the entire movie.
Yeah,
Michelle Jones,
who her friends call her MJ,
even though she has none.
Okay. So, apparently, in the same case where James Gunn came out after Guardians 2, and where everybody was like, oh, the teenage Groot was so great, and then James Gunn was like...
Actually, he's not teenage Groot, he's adolescent Groot.
Yeah, essentially, Kevin Feige came out and was like, just because she called herself MJ doesn't mean she's this universe's Mary Jane. There's going to be a Mary Jane later on.
Blaze it.
Well, I don't think he said that there is going to be a Mary Jane after. He was like, there could be, there couldn't be. I don't know.
I just think it's kind of a dumb, misleading thing to make a big deal out of her nickname being MJ if she's not going to be Mary Jane.
Big, dumb, misleading. That's the entire MCU summed up in 3 words.
It's true, he's right.
They basically just copied Dark Knight Rises. Only this makes more sense than in that.
No, not really, because the review.
What kind of person's name would be Robin?
Oh, see, I thought you were referring to the Talia al Ghul.
No, I was saying like the whole MJ and like her. I was like, oh, my friends call me MJ, and then where John Blake's like, oh, you should go by your first name, Robin, It's like that's dumb.
Well, to be fair, at least in Dark Knight Rises, you could make the case where John Blake kind of acted like a Robin. He was kind of Batman's sidekick throughout the movie,
Yeah.
kind of. In this version, kind of. What the thing is, after me and spoke about this, and my response was to him was, it's what's more important, how a character acts or what the name of the character is. If this universe's Mary Jane, maybe not in exact name, but if this is for all intents and purposes going to be Peter's main love interest going forward, she's very different to previous MJ's, and she's very different to either Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy. So in that regard, I liked it. It's nothing new. I thought she was charming. I liked a lot of her dialogue. I liked the fact that she just did not give a fuck about anything. I kind of found that appealing. Although, again, to kind of agree with TJ slightly, what is the point of evoking the biggest love interest name in Spider-Man's history if your response is just going to be like, well, it probably isn't her? Like, that's kind of a why waste our time then?
I think there's problems outside, like through interviews and like talk about that is kind of like there are different problems than what's actually inside the movie. Like how it's executed in the movie itself is fine, but like, yeah, in the future it could be a problem if they screw something up or decide to like change something around. But at the moment, yeah.
I mean, also just the thing is, there are other love interests of Peter Parker they could have used. I mean, we had Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy, Liz Allen was using here, but I mean, like it's a
Betty Brant is in this movie.
I was gonna say that in a blink and you'll miss it. She is in this movie, which I always thought Betty was meant to be older than Peter.
Yeah, she is.
She was, but and also Cindy Moon is in this movie.
I must plead ignorance. I am
Silk.
Who gives
Silk.
a fuck if Silk's in here? What a dumb character.
When was Silk in the movie?
She's the Asian girl on his decathlon team. That's Cindy.
Oh, that's okay.
It's just a small thing, but it's like, oh, okay, that's something.
Yeah, that's
Oh boy, I really can't wait for the sequel when she gets her powers, and all I do is fuck the entire movie, because that never got boring after a while, did it?
The Silk book is good, but her in the Spider-Man book, she was not good.
Yeah, I actively hated her in that run.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
You know what? Just because we didn't really get into it, and I know that we probably should have started with this, but Aaron, Stefan, general thoughts on the movie and where you would place it in the MCU.
Okay, it was definitely, I would say, above average. I would need to really rethink of all the MCU movies to find its place, so I'll say top 10. I'll give myself some leeway there, but I would put it above Doctor Strange, above Incredible Hulk, above Thor: The Dark World and Age of Ultron.
You put it above Thor: The Dark World. What high praise that is!
Yeah, not as bad as Thor: The Dark World, but I would say top 10.
All right. Yeah, for me, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was charming. It was charming as all hell. I thought it did a lot of the new things it did. I thought executed really well. I loved Tom Holland in this. Michael Keaton was amazing. It's just that them both whenever they're on screen, which ends up being basically the whole movie. It's just they work really. They're both really well, like performance wise, and I like their interactions with all the characters.
I thought it was an interesting take on the story, and overall, I would probably put it. I have a list that I did, and it's number 7 on my list, so right in the middle.
Yeah, I would rank it at a solid B minus. Decent movie. Had some issues with it. I will say again, I never in a million years would have thought they would have ever made the Vulture a good villain and one of the best villains in a comic book movie.
Well, I mean, Spider-Man 2 made Doc Ock, and before that, he wasn't really the best.
What are you talking about?
He's always been one of Spider-Man's best villains. What are you talking about, you fool?
But he hasn't been like at that level as like complex.
I have
as
no
he
idea
was
what
in-
you're talking about. This just proves that whenever you try and reference comic books, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I think that's why you liked this movie so much, is because like modern Spider-Man and the Spider-Man universe, which stuff is stuff that you love, is fundamentally different than the stuff that I love.
He likes a Spider-Man with black eyes.
I love Spectacular Spider-Man.
Stan Lee has gone on record saying he thinks Dr. Octopus is Spider-Man's greatest villain. Are you going against Spider-Man's creator, Stefan? Then shut up then.
I
But,
prefer
I
Spider-Ham.
Spider-Man, Peter Porker. I will say that I think the twist where Peter goes to pick up Liz Allen and the Vulture opens the door and never's like, I don't want to. I think Stefan, you may agree with this because we've, because I don't want to sound like a pretentious prick here, but because I studied film for a while. A lot of times I can see twists coming, especially in like cliche comic book movies. I didn't fucking see that twist coming at all. That was a really well executed twist.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, one of the things that made me not realize it coming, because before the movie came out, there was a rumor that Michelle was the Vulture's the daughter, but then it was like quickly debunked. So I'm like, oh, it's probably nothing. And then that's oh no, he actually does have a daughter.
But then, one of my favorite scenes is because obviously Peter recognizes the Vulture straight away. But what I like is that the Vulture's not a moron. Just because of a few things Liz Allen has said, the Vulture's able to piece together that Peter is Spider-Man, and I love that touch. I thought that was such a good touch. The fact that and also the Vulture has a fairly compelling. I mean, like he does crime. He steals from people. He's even done a bit of murder. He threatens to murder Peter and everyone in his family, but he's doing it from a place of he wants to protect his family, both literal and just the crew he's worked with for years. So he kind of unlike some other villains like Roland the Destroyer who just want power for and like incredibly fucking bland. This guy actually has an element of a heart, and also to go into I think in the ending credit sequence, because there was a moment early on where the Vulture basically says, "You saved my daughter in DC, and I can never repay you for that. So I'm going to give you a chance to just leave me be, and I won't come after you." Then obviously after Spider-Man that defeats him, which also one point I did think the final fight was a bit weak. I would have liked a bit more of a prolonged battle, so kind of just like Vulture punched him twice, Spider-Man punched him once, and then the fight was over. I was expecting more of an actual battle between those two, but there's a sequence. The mid-credit teaser is essentially Scorpion and Vulture meet in prison. And Scorpion is basically, in a not too subtle hint to Sinister Six, says, I have some friends on the outside who want to kill Spider-Man, but rumor has it you know who he is. And the Vulture just says, if I knew who he was, he'd already be dead. Which, again, it's a very thing which a lot of people I've seen, I decided, because that's just Adrian Toomes, Spider-Man, Peter Parker rescued his daughter, and then himself, and in a kind of very... The least he could do for this kid, he's protecting his identity, and just things like that just make Vulture just
compelling,
a lot more compelling, and a lot more complex than the average bland I just want power or I want to kill people Marvel villain. And so in that regard,
although to be fair, he did use Ronin. I think Ronin only works in that regard because the Guardians were so out there.
Yeah, and again, I think, as you said, and even James Gunn said, because they were introducing so much new stuff, they did need a kind of bland villain.
Yeah.
But I mean, just looking at things like Doctor Strange or Ant-Man or both Thor movies.
It's like that X-Men Forget-Me-Not that's always there, but Xavier, but no one remembers that he's there. That's me with the villain from Thor: The Dark World. What's his Malekith.
Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
But it is. It's Chris Eccleston
and David Tennant's the Purple Man.
Yeah, it all fits.
We need what's his face?
Well, Matt Smith was already the bad guy in Terminator Genesis, so I don't think we'll see him in the MCU anytime soon.
We need Peter Capaldi.
Peter Capaldi could have been a pretty good older Doctor Strange.
I think honestly, Vulture is probably. I think Loki is probably still the best, just because he's had 3 movies of development to for us to like him, and Tom Hiddleston's just so charming. but Vulture probably is like the right up there as the best Marvel movie villain.
Vulture is.
I know it's not saying
it's not saying
much, but it's like still.
He's easily in the top 5 or 3.
I would say
Marvel villains.
Top 3, because I would say him, Ego, and I guess Loki, even though I find him overrated, but he's still the best they got out of the very bad pool.
I liked Ultron. I know I'm kind of in the minority, but I thought Ultron he had personality, which most Marvel villains don't.
What about Obadiah Stane?
He was fine before he put on the suit.
Yeah, and then he just became shouty angry man.
Yeah, but he's shouty angry man played by Jeff Bridges.
Garrett, do the line.
What? Tony Stark made this with a box of scraps.
I love that.
I think that is my second favorite line in the whole MCU. My favorite line is, of course, in Thor when Oscar winner Anthony Hopkins utters the immortal.
and now Anthony Hopkins has a dog.
And still more dignified than Transformers: The Last Night.
It's true, it was.
Like, but what Marvel villains need to, like, because there are 3 main things that, like, most, like, villains, or, like, specifically Marvel villains, like, either nail or don't. It's performance, characterization, and motive. And, like, someone like Ego, Vulture, Loki, they nail all 3. Then you have some ones like...
Ego does some stupid shit. I think Ego loses points to me for, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Guardians 2. Ego loses major points for me for just blurting out the fact that he gave Star-Lord's mother a brain tumor. That is like the stupidest fucking thing you could do.
He also has a massive ego.
The difference is, though, is that I know it's his name, but that character trait is never really explored in the movie. If they had made more of a thing of that...
He has his own fucking planet. What more does he need to do?
Well, his whole thing is that he wants to consume the universe because he thinks he's better than everyone.
True, but I mean, in the way he interacts with people, he doesn't show that. I mean, yes. If you look at the fact that
he's conniving, he's tricking them.
He's not tricking them to just go to Peter Quill. Yeah, I killed your mother. Now let's do some shit together, son.
Well, this is after introducing him to his power.
It's lazy screenwriting, although what else can we expect from James Gunn?
Don't make me get him on Twitter yelling at you again.
The bechamel test broke new ground!
And this female's talking forever!
Wait, what are you talking about? I'm talking about he made a perfect white sauce. The bechamel test.
Thanos.
Okay, so TJ, I know you've said you've hated it, but where would you rank it then in the MCU? Because I would rank it probably in the middle myself.
I would say lower 4th, like the bottom 4th.
Now, where would you rank Iron Man 2?
Well, what's something that I think is funny is that every single MCU ranking list, the bottom 4 is always Iron Man 2, Hulk, Thor 1, and Thor 2. Like, not in that order, like, in, like, a different order, but that's always the bottom 4.
Not in my list.
That's why I said it.
TJ's list is like Thor 2's it's like Iron Man 2's like his number 3 movie.
Better than Iron Man 3?
Better than Iron Man 1? What's the matter with you?
Iron Man 3 is like way low on my list.
You're a fucking idiot, TJ. I regret ever making love to you. So, TJ, just to round this up, and if you have it available, why don't you, and just so the rest of us can laugh at you, why don't you round off then from worst to best your MCU list?
Alright, let me just add...
Let me just work out some fucking equations in this shit.
No, I was gonna say, let me add Spider-Man to this.
Just add the bottom, I hate this movie.
He's got a list like me.
Okay, here we go. This is going from worst to best. Doctor Strange.
I still don't get that.
I actually kind of get it because everyone was like, "This is so amazing," and I was kind of like, "It's just Iron Man." Now, I wouldn't say it's worse than Thor, but it's
still better than both Thor movies and Iron Man 2.
Oh, 100%.
I've come to
That
bargain.
scene's awesome. That scene's amazing.
That's the gene. That scene is brilliant. That's like top 5 scenes in the whole MCU.
Okay, Iron Man 3.
What the fuck?
That's
TJ,
fair.
what the fuck? No, that's not fair.
Iron Man 3? That sucked.
Oh my god, Aaron.
They changed the Mandarin. Oh, he's not in the suit the whole time.
They yeah. They completely got rid of it's this stupid MCU thing where they're like, we can't do things that are like goofy, or like they can't make the goofy things cool, so they make they keep the goofy things a joke.
TJ, I think it's more along the lines of the Mandarin is borderline racist in today's day and age, which is why they changed that one.
Well, I get that, yes. But the idea that they were going with, and then they have that scene that reveals where the Mandarin is just a joke. Like, they didn't need to do that.
I love that scene now, man. To be fair, isn't there one of the Marvel one-shots where they kind of imply there is actually a Mandarin in the MCU?
There is, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of like there is still a Mandarin. It's not like maybe he'll show up, but it's like no.
That,
he's
and
not
they
gonna
also
show
put
up.
Aldrich Killian in the movie, and he didn't become MODOK, so automatic fail from me.
I just know Aldrich Killian from killing himself at the beginning of Extremis.
Okay, next one, Thor.
Okay, fair.
Okay. Next one, Incredible Hulk.
Fair.
Yeah.
Then Spider-Man: Homecoming.
You're an idiot.
Ant-Man.
No, I actually think Ant-Man was probably one of my favorite origin stories.
Yeah, I would agree. I like that, man, probably a bit better than Spider-Man.
Next one, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
No.
Yeah.
I think it's better than the first.
You're wrong, but that's fine.
Next one, Iron Man.
You're an idiot. God, I hate you, TJ.
After watching it, I'm gonna move this up. So after Iron Man is Guardians of the Galaxy, then Thor: The Dark World.
You're a
You
fucking
think Thor: The
idiot.
Dark World is better than Guardians 1?
God.
TJ!
What?
TJ.
I mean, it has a cool ending battle scene.
I
but...
like all the personal stuff with Thor in that movie. Like,
Everything's so bad in Thor!
My favorite scene in the MCU is that scene where they come and tell Loki that their mother died, and then the facade comes down, and that he's like a complete wreck and not fine with it.
Yes, but TJ, you also have to deal with several scenes of Stellan Skarsgård acting insane for no good reason, and Kat Dennings wacky comedy with her intern.
And Skylar.
No joke. I saw that movie with Mykonos fan, and I think at different points both of us turned to was like, is that fucking Skylar? What the fuck is going on?
Okay. Then it'd be Avengers from after rewatching it with Gareth. After he had his back surgery, I was like, okay, this movie's a little better than I remember.
Yeah, I like Avengers.
I think I just had fatigue because when I first saw the Avengers, it was just like, oh my god, this is the greatest film ever made.
Well, no, Avengers is a movie that has a lot of shit wrong. It is a movie
Yes.
that it has a lot of script issues and just very long chunks of nothing happening.
Yeah.
However, it is a movie where, and I often don't fall for this, but in certain cases I will. It is a movie where the kind of it is a case of style over substance that kind of works for me, just because at that point it was, the Avengers was a big fucking thing. The fact that they had this 6 movies and then all these characters meeting up for the first time, and the final battle in New York is still, I think, one of the better endings of a comic movie. And so in that regard, I can kind of overlook the flaws in Avengers, where when you get to Ultron, then when it's a bit, then it gets to be like, not so much on the second time round, but good try.
Well, then you're in luck, because next is Avengers: Age of Ultron.
I agree. Well, there are at points when I think Age of Ultron is better than the first Avengers because it does so much of it so much better, and like fixes all of the problems and does some really great and interesting things. But then there are other times when it's like,
Hulk and Black Widow. Why was this here for?
no, I'm more so talking about Thor's magic future.
And unfortunately, with that though, that was what Marvel forced on Whedon.
Yeah, that was yeah.
There was and there was also more of that, which kind of had it make more sense, rather than just the fucking Infinity Stones. I'm gonna go look for them now. Bye.
So what happened to Liv Taylor? Is that her character in The Incredible Hulk?
Liv Tyler.
Liv Tyler.
Oh, Betty.
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 No, you know, I think it may be a contract thing where they don't want to bring her back.
Well, they brought back Thunderbolt Ross.
They did,
in Civil
but
War.
I think you know,
there's just no reason because like Hulk's off in space now, and they're not making any Hulk movies.
Yes,
so
thanks to Universal, that there will never be a solo Hulk movie. So I doubt they'll really play into any type of romance about it. Because I think Scarlett Johansson kind of confirmed that there's the kind of love angles been dropped now in the Avengers movies. So they probably won't need it, and we don't really need any more pointless forced romances in these movies. So I'm good with her not coming back. I love her I love her as an actress, but I don't think we need her in the MCU.
No, you mean like forced romantic plots like Pepper coming out of nowhere?
Which, yeah, that made no sense because in Civil War they implied they'd broken up, and then now when they're in this one, which I know exactly why they did that, because Marvel, being the cheap fuckers they are, did not want to pay Gwyneth Paltrow her high fee, and so because Sony is paying for all of Spider-Man, they put her in the script for that.
And they gave her like fourth top billing in the credits.
Which, well, and to be fair, in terms of the named actors, she probably is that. But also one quick thing, TJ. I was sorry about this, but the continuity between this and Civil War annoyed me because the start of the movie takes place like the day after Civil War, and as we see at the ending credit sequence of Civil War, Peter has a giant black eye from the fight in Germany.
Belgium, wasn't it?
Well, no, Berlin. I think it was. Either way, some foreign country. He comes home with a black eye. In Homecoming, when he's returned home by Tony Stark, who shouldn't be there because he should really be in the fucking ocean jail where the Avengers are being held. He has no black eye. So it's small things like that. Unless you're a fucking loser like me who cares about that shit, I'm sure most people didn't even realize it. But just small things like that, it was just like that doesn't add up, doesn't track.
What drove me insane was the whole like where they're like, oh, the beginning of the movie with the Battle of New York, and then they're like 8 years later. What it's like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
I quickly want to state that Tony did say they were taking time apart, him and Pepper. So
they did, but it is kind of a big leap to be like, that the last time we heard of her, they were taking a break, and now he plans to propose.
I think he was doing that for media purposes.
Well, no, because he also Happy's had the ring for a while, so Tony's obviously had this idea. But it's just it was a fun little gag. It just wasn't the strongest continuity between these movies, and that's one of the things that I enjoy the most whenever when there's a really good continuity reference. That kind of shit is the stuff I enjoy the most about the MCU. And it's just when they kind of fumble a bit, because I think Kevin Feige had said that originally they went into Phase 3 not planning on Spider-Man. So like this movie was kind of added as soon as they got the rights back. They were like, "Fuck, a Spider-Man movie straight away."
Yeah, because they had to push back Black Panther and Captain Marvel a year both.
At that point, it's like, why not just have Spider-Man come out later? That way you can work on things a bit more and have, because I don't think the script is that great for this movie. Like the storyline's kind of but you could have had, maybe if you had a bit more time, you could have done something a bit better in a way.
That's what happens when you have 6 screenwriters.
Which I will say though, for a movie with 6 screenwriters, this is one of the most coherent movies I've ever seen with that many screenwriters. It is surprising it's as good as it is with that many screenwriters.
All right, hold on. Before we move on, I have 4 more movies I gotta go through.
Oh, of course, yeah, sure, man.
Civil War, Iron Man 2.
God, no.
First Avenger, and then...
Wait. First Avenger is your second favorite?
Hell yeah, dude. First Avenger is awesome.
It's a fun movie, but it's not better. No, that's wrong.
Winter Soldier, I can give you because that movie is perhaps, I think, maybe my favorite too.
I will say Winter Soldier, I think, is the best movie
Yeah.
the MCU has ever made, but my heart will always belong to Iron Man 1. That's just the most fun movie I think the MCU has made. But
Iron Man 1's one of their best that they've ever made, which is amazing considering that movie had no script.
And it was constantly being rewritten. I mean, like, originally, there's some behind-the-scenes footage of Iron Man 1 where, like, the Mandarin, it was like a character. Well, they're on the set, like, filming shit, and, like, Jarvis saying lines like, "We've received the package from the Mandarin, sir." So, like, that shit was just, crazy shit was happening behind the scenes of that movie.
When I was rewatching it, I noticed that the people that kidnapped Tony had the 10 Rings flag.
The 10 Rings, yeah.
Right.
Well, because they are the 10 Rings.
Yeah. They're not referenced
Think about it.
as such, but yeah.
Well, that was also back when they weren't trying to be too comic booky, like how they didn't actually call him the Ironmonger.
So anyway, in conclusion, this movie was okay. TJ hated it because he's a fanboy, and Aaron's a moron. Goodbye,
So
everybody.
where's Speed Movie on the rankings?
That's a special edition of the TJ MCU list.
TJ, in correlation to B movie, where does Spider-Man Homecoming fit for you?
All right, Jareth, you're done.
I want to thank everyone for listening to this rambling fuck wad of a Skype Sanctuary podcast, and maybe we'll do some more film reviews of this in the future. I've been FTA.
I've been T-Bay.
I've been Stefan.
And I've been Aaron.
And we'll see you on another podcast some point, maybe in the future. Goodbye.